So, welcome to another edition of Open for Business, a show for the small business owners seeking tips and insight from other small business owners. I'm your host, Marjorie Young. Today's guest, we have a mobile app that works to protect the most vulnerable among us by notifying users that an individual with pre-existing conditions is in the area and to encourage additional social distancing. The company started off in Europe and wanted to expand to the USA. So we're going to talk about their process for selecting the country and the city for expanding their company. So please welcome Dragos Santoncu, and he is the CEO of Adamer, and Keith Fletcher. He is the Vice President of KRF Associates. Welcome to the show. How are you? Welcome to Savannah, Dragos.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Very good. And welcome, Keith. Good to have you on.
Great to be back.
Awesome. So what was the process, Dragos? What was the first thing that you realized that you wanted to expand your company from Europe into the United States and then ending up in Savannah?
You know, if we take it step by step, we first developed the app in Europe. We did it actually in Romania because I'm Romanian born, and among other things, Romania is still, pretty famous for the quality of its IT specialists. We did the development actually in Romania. The company was incorporated from day one in the US. So we wanted to start in the US. We started to implementing in the US, and eventually only afterwards, expanding on other grounds. I mean, in other countries in Europe or wherever. Now, the reason behind it. Let's say first about why the US. Yeah, it's kind of a mix of economic reality and personal issues. I mean, personally speaking, in my early years, I've started my career as an investment banker in the US. And not only that, but doing my profession in New York and then in DC, being a lot attached to the American way and to the American value, and that period of my life defined a lot of what I am today and what I became. So, since this is about protecting people, allowing business as usual, even during hard times and all that kind of stuff, thought a little bit like I owe that to America and what America, provided to me. Now, why Savannah in the US? That's another story. That goes to the more realistic part of the decision-making process. So first of all, because Savannah, it's, let's say, in my opinion, is one of the best technology hubs in the US right now, even if it's a young one. Yeah, I mean, Savannah corridor and the environment that it creates for startups and for the development of tech businesses. That's one thing. Another one which also counted a lot is the fact that you guys there have a very safe environment, a very safe city, and that's probably was the merit of your leadership, of your mayor, of the entire administration there. The fact that despite other major cities in the US, Savannah was a safe place, was a quiet place. It didn't have the kind of turmoil that happened in the other important US cities, within the last 6 months. And last but not least, again, there's another factor, and that goes with the application and what we intend to do there. It's Savannah and the entire area there, has the perfect mix of population. Let's say it has the diversity, so that allows to balance things among various groups of population, among healthy people and fragile and all that kind of stuff. That helps bringing the application, put the application at its merits. And another thing that's also important, Savannah, it's a touristic spot.
Yeah.
And we think actually that the kind of app that we have built may help a lot touristic spots down the road in order to resume business back again, to do business as usual, and to allow tourists to flourish once again, even during the pandemic episode.
Thank you. So Keith, how were you involved in helping Dragos move his company to this area?
Well, I was working with Dragos. I've known him now for quite a while, and he asked me to help him with Adamer. And there are a lot of challenges to come from Europe or from any foreign set of countries to the U.S. I've helped them overcome a few of those, made the arrangements with banking, with legal, as well as with other contacts that they needed. Most especially, as you're probably very well aware, bringing a company here from Europe and incorporating it here with European ownership requires a deft legal hand. And for that, Hunter McLean was instrumental in making sure that all the legal paperwork and the legal side of that was handled very adroitly. So with those contacts, as well as getting them a banking relationship, which we're very lucky to have a very progressive local bank here that saw the opportunity with having a company coming in out of Europe, and actually multiple companies coming in out of Europe.
Good.
And that's Coastal States Bank, and they've really stepped up to help Adamer get its relationship running and be able to do business here. And we're hoping that as we go further, proceed, when Adamer has more boots on the ground here, especially the executives, very, very early next year, we'll be able to take advantage of more services such as perhaps the Creative Coast, perhaps even SCORE, perhaps working with some of our local universities, and be able to take advantage of the other things that Savannah has for all of our startups, as well as for all of our small businesses.
I know that Savannah has always been in the news about what a great place it is to be a startup. And this is a testament with a number of companies moving from Europe into the US, and not just the US, but have selected Savannah, Georgia. So Keith, do you see this as a trend?
I think we're going to see a lot more of it. Mm-hmm. And I think one major reason that we're going to see more coming to Savannah from other places is exactly what Dragos pointed out. We have managed to weather the disruptions that have occurred in other major cities without any incident whatsoever. We have had a perfectly peaceful, orderly city from day one. We've never had the problems. And for that, I congratulate our mayor, our city council, our sheriff, everyone involved. We have kept Savannah safe so people can feel safe about coming here. Because obviously when the executives come here and we have those, families will come too. And if families are coming, you're never going to bring your family to somewhere that's not safe.
Absolutely. So Dragos, are you all settled here and out in, well, I guess you can't really be out in the community networking right now just with COVID, but how are you managing to do that? Has he been able to help?
He was of tremendous help, actually, because as you said, I mean, last month, I mean, we were in need basically to have discussions and to be able to do networking and all this stuff, but that wasn't possible due to the travel restrictions. Happily, as I understood, especially between Romania and the US, those are close to be lifted, and pretty soon we'll be able to travel over there, and that's going to make things, let's say, easier to go ahead. And since we are about to get starting with testings of the application in January, most probably we're going to be there in January, I hope, with all our executive team.
So Keith, tell us more about this launch in January.
What we're looking at is, in January, we're looking at the first large-scale technical testing. It'll be done here in Savannah. One of the groups that we are very happy we're working with is Healthy Savannah with Paula Chrysler. Mm-hmm. And she is amazing. And Healthy Savannah really understands how to protect those that are vulnerable and those that need services and need healthcare. And this is
walk us through that app and tell us, so if somebody's watching that has diabetes, what will this app be able to do for them?
What this does is, what I want you to picture is first, you tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, all of this stuff is completely private. Matter of fact, your identity is not stored up in the cloud at all. Just the information you give us, but not who you are. So this is utterly private. So you do not have to worry ever of anybody being able to identify who you are.
Okay, so I would put the information into the phone on the app. Then what happens? And then it's all.
Then we identify. Do you have pre-existing conditions? Basically, are you fragile? Are you more likely to become infected?
Okay.
If you are, your icon on the application, which is basically, it's a map that as you're walking around, you'll be able to see other people in your area. You'll be able to see other little colored dots representing other people in the area. Yours will designate that you are fragile and that you require more civility. You require people to definitely practice social distancing, to absolutely wear a mask around you, to absolutely make sure, because granted, a lot of people don't necessarily wear masks. They probably should, but we are people and we understand that everybody does different things. But I don't know of anyone that would voluntarily hurt someone else. So if you know that there are people around you that truly need to be protected, you will then behave better. And you will then protect those that are most vulnerable. And at the same time, by the way, you're protecting yourself and your loved ones, because the odds on you getting infected are lower. But you have a dot. Let's say everybody's dots are running around that are all green. You're all healthy. So you walk down the street and all of a sudden there's a couple of dots showing up that look like, oh, they're yellow or red. Well, you know that those people possibly are infected or have something. Now, this application is designed for all infectious diseases. It specializes in what is currently in the environment.
COVID.
Right, COVID. It can also look for things like the flu, and for other, especially airborne, but certainly serious infectious diseases. The artificial intelligence built into the app understands how to read from your wearable device, so it can read your vital signs from the information that you input, as well as diagnosing your respiratory processes. So we can understand, is there a possibility that you're infected? Or are you definitely, because you were truly exposed, and that raises your risk? So it will warn you who's around. So not only will it warn you that people are infected around, but let's say you have been exposed and your dot went from green to blue, telling you may have been exposed. Now, the application figures that out for you. This isn't the health department knocking on your door because someone told them that you'd been in a bar somewhere. No, this is all private. This is all secure. It warns you that you may have been infected, in which case you need to monitor yourself. You may need to go get yourself tested if you start seeing any kind of symptoms at all. So at which point in time, then, from the testing, in the long term, then the testing environment would then load up to the app with your identifying code, which is not your name, which cannot be associated back to your name. But then it would be able to go back to the app and flag you more seriously. Mm-hmm. If it says you're positive, it'll flag you as positive. Of course, it says you're negative, it flags you as negative too, which is great. So if you're fragile and you're walking down the street and you have a lot of people who are coming up yellow or red, you might want to avoid them. And if you are in fact yellow or red, you want to not go somewhere where you see that there are numerous fragile people. So it does both ways. It both protects you from getting infected and helps you protect others from you infecting them. And this also will track vaccinations. So if you've been vaccinated, it will then, at the pharmacy, et cetera, they can then put in their side an app. There's a system for them to then enter just your code. Yes, you've been vaccinated. And then it will show in the app that you have been vaccinated. Your icon will change shape. So you know that you're vaccinated, and other people around you will know that you've been vaccinated. Well, that will also be a help entering venues.
Oh, absolutely. Like here, I got a green light.
Right. I'm healthy, plus I've been vaccinated.
Yeah.
So this system has a number of medical experts here. And Dragos, which you use medical experts, not just Mubar. You used a number from a couple of universities here. Which schools did you use?
With respect to the medical team, the one that did actually the predictive medical algorithm for the application was led by two people. One is from here, from Romania, and he has a long-standing experience in medical management. And the other one, Savannah, is currently a student in Stanford University, but he works together with some colleagues of hers which are studying medicine and medical management in there. So let's say it's a combination. It's probably the best suited combination of working together with a team of experts from both Romania and the US. And what I would like to add to what you are saying, it's I mean, the entire philosophy of this app is going towards two directions, which basically, by the end of the day, they're coming together. Is protect the vulnerable ones, protect the fragile population, and in the same time allow business to go back again as normal, allow normal life, resume normal life, even within a pandemic, whether it's COVID-19 or whatever is going to come in the future. And why do I say that? Because as you are saying, when you see, it's not only that you see who's at risk of infection, and that's important. We're not getting diagnosis because we're not doctors and we're not allowed to do that. And we do not intend to do that. We're just a risk assessment application. But when you see that the person's at risk in your proximity, when you see that, let's say you were walking down the street, I don't know, from spot A to spot B, and there's an area where there's a concentration of people at risk, the app gives you alternative routes. So again, you can avoid that. When you go inside the venue, you would see if there are people at risk in that particular venue. By the way, the venue owner is going to see if there are people at risk knocking at his door, and he's allowed to either let them in or not. Is going to be his policy to do that. Yeah. So that will allow protection of people, to protect people at risk, to protect even the healthy ones, because healthy people get sick too. They get infected too. So by the end of the day, they should be protected too. Yeah, and allows business to resume, allows normal life to come back. Allows us to live as we used to live before the pandemic. And business-wise, especially in cities like Savannah and in many other locations, which are generating a lot of income in the services industry, and especially tourism. That means a lot because you will be able to reopen. You'll be able to give the same services. You'll be able, if the tourists which are coming in are going to have the app on their mobile, they may come in and see that's safe for them. And that's going to boost the local economy wherever we go. Savannah today, most probably we're going to move to other locations in the US, further down the road. I think that's the most important stuff: protecting people and in the same time resume normal life and business again.
Dragos, that is huge, and congratulations on this perfectly timed app. So what if somebody's watching and would like to participate in a trial or a test? What would they need to do? Who would they reach out to if they could participate? Keith?
We'll have a sign up for people that want to participate in the technical trials. That should be up by December 1. We'll actually have up on the Adamer website the ability to sign up, and we'll be starting this then in mid-January. Okay. So anybody that does want to, we do have a geographic area that we're going to be targeting, but obviously we'll be very open to others that want to try this. Obviously, it doesn't cost anything, and we would encourage everyone, as many people as possible, to try this, to sign up. So this will be as of December 1. We'll have that up on the Adamer website, so you can climb on there in just a little over a week and be able to get yourself signed up. And then we will be sending you information on exactly what to do and how to contact us, and then what the process will be during the testing phase. The first phase of testing is technical. The next phase of testing will be validating the medical AI and medical algorithms. And then right after that is validated, we'll be going live.
Fantastic. What perfect timing. What absolute perfect timing. Tell me again how Healthy Savannah is going to be involved in this.
Well, Healthy Savannah is heavily involved because their target, or their entire charter, is about taking care of those that are most vulnerable. Long term, even after COVID is gone, there are numerous diseases that are out there. There are numerous infectious organisms, and there are numerous other things that people that are fragile need. And this will give Healthy Savannah a tool so they will be able to address services and address the needs of that community by getting data that they wouldn't have had, and also by giving them a tool to help protect their clients, for want of a better term, but their people. And that's everyone here in Savannah. Every person on this planet has a responsibility to protect the least among us.
Right.
And there's one thing that I think it's important here. I mean, many people may see, at first that this kind of an application may create a competition to the MDs, to the general practitioners, and especially and to the doctors, and it's not. Actually, it's a tool between their potential patients and themselves. It's just a tool to make life easier for people with various diseases, yeah, and get them a risk assessment. Because, as I said, we're not doctors. We're not giving any kind of diagnosis. And connect them with their doctors, and they know when it's probably suitable for them to go and get a diagnosis, or or check or do some more profound checks, and so they will be able to take care of themselves. So, in our opinion, this kind of an app is not only now, but the way it's going to develop in the future is going to represent just a partner, a valuable partner for doctors and for the entire healthcare industry, and not at all a competition.
Okay, so do you know if folks can sign up on the Healthy Savannah website?
We're hoping there should be links from there to the Adamer site for signing up.
Okay, and for folks that are interested in participating, give us the website.
The website is Adamer, ADMOER, Advanced Monitoring and Emergency Response, ADMOER.com.
Okay.
Real simple.
Okay. So what else? Okay, so you're here in Savannah. Who else do you need to meet in Savannah that we could possibly get the word out here, that could help with the transition from Europe to here, from Romania to here?
I think that they're going to need to, as we mentioned, probably sit when they're here, talk with the Creative Coast, talk with SCORE, perhaps even talk with CETA, but certainly have some conversations with Savannah State, with Georgia Southern,
Mm-hmm.
with perhaps even with Savannah Tech.
Yeah.
And see where some of the pieces with this might help. The other pieces are obviously with our medical community.
Right.
Through Healthy Savannah, we're going to be working with their partners. As you know, they have 300 partners,
yeah.
So that's a huge chunk. But also, we're going to be talking to pharmacies, etc., because that is where vaccinations will be happening. And I'm hoping that at some point, that's also where some testing will be happening. I don't see it happening here in Savannah yet, but that is happening other places where they have the rapid tests. So if that starts to be happening, we'll want to be partnering with pharmacies, some of our large pharmacy chains, especially those that are locally owned.
Okay. So
And I would add here that, and I think that's also important to what he was saying. I mean, we're talking a lot about how this helps the ordinary citizens, how it helps the population, and we're just saying a little bit of how that may help private organizations. But in the same time, there's a section of this app that's going to provide a lot of information to medical facilities and to health authorities, because the way it's designed, I mean, the health authority is going to be able to see at all times where clusters of people at risk of infection are built, what's happening on the map that they have under their guidance, what's happening everywhere, and they will be able, and they see that in real time, and so they will be able to deploy resources and to know in advance how to act. And that's, I think, it's also very important, because I mean when in real time everything that's happening, you see how a potential cluster is built up and everything else. I mean, that's, I think, crucial in designing your approach towards dealing with the infection.
absolutely. Well, I want to congratulate you on getting it all together and moving here to Savannah, Georgia. And Keith, looks like you have another comment.
No, I just want to say thank you very much for Dragos to trusting that we can help him bring this together, and trusting Savannah to be the right place. As a lot of you may know, I'm very pro Savannah and have been pushing for it for quite a while. But I think this is a very big thing for Savannah to have this caliber of an application being both developed and then deployed here first.
Absolutely. So thank you for sharing your information about this amazing app and your tips for moving from Europe to the United States to Savannah on how to navigate that. So thank you for watching.